Part 1. The second scan. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of the massive Corvin warship, Dominion's Edge. His green-scaled hands gripped the metal railing as he stared at the main screen. In the dark space ahead, a single human ship floated quietly. It looked small and weak compared to his mighty fleet. "Sir, the human vessel is still not moving," reported Scanner Officer Kale from his station. His yellow eyes focused on the glowing displays in front of him. "Our first scan 3 hours ago showed very basic weapons. Just old kinetic guns and simple shields. Nothing dangerous." Ox nodded slowly. The humans had arrived in the star system only 3 months ago. They claimed they owned several planets here. The Corvin military leaders had laughed at this news. These humans seemed like another weak species that would be easy to defeat. But something felt wrong to Vex. In his 40 years of military service, he had learned to trust his instincts. Right now, those instincts were telling him to be careful. "Run." "Another full scan of that ship," Vex ordered. "I want to know everything about it. Go deeper this time." Kale's clawed fingers moved across his control panel. "Sir, we already scanned them completely. There is nothing more to find." "Do it anyway," Vex said firmly. "Something does not feel right about this situation." The other officers on the bridge looked at each other with confused expressions. They had never seen their admiral act so worried about such a small enemy ship. The human vessel was less than half the size of their flagship. It had no escort ships. It seemed to be alone, and helpless Chief Engineer Wren walked up to Vex from her station. Her red scales gleamed under the bridge lights. "Admiral, our ship has 50 times more firepower than that human vessel. Our shields are 10 times stronger. Why are you concerned?" Vex turned to look at her. "In my experience, when an enemy appears too weak, they are usually hiding something. The humans did not come to this system by accident. They must have a plan." The deep scanning beams shot out from the Corvin ship toward the human vessel. These were much more powerful than the basic scans they had used before. The beams could look through thick metal walls and detect even the smallest energy sources. As the scanning data began to appear on the screens around the bridge, Kale frowned. "Sir, these readings are ... strange." "What do you mean strange?" Vex asked, walking over to look at the displays. "The power readings from their ship are changing constantly. The energy levels go up and down in patterns that make no sense. Our computers cannot understand what is causing this." Wren hurried over to check the engineering displays. "That is impossible. No ship's power system works like this. The energy patterns are completely random." Vex studied the scrolling data on the screens. Numbers and graphs showed energy readings that seemed to break the basic laws of physics. "Are our scanners working correctly?" "I ran a full diagnostic check," Kale replied. "All systems are functioning perfectly. Strange readings are coming from the human ship, not from our equipment." More data appeared on the screens as the deep scan continued. The human ship's hull composition was unlike anything in the Corvin database. The metal seemed to absorb certain types of energy while reflecting others in impossible ways. "Sir," Kale said, his voice starting to shake, "I am detecting something very unusual in the center of their ship." "What is it?" Vex demanded. "The energy signature suggests." "It looks like they have some kind of contained singularity in their engine room." The bridge fell completely silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing and stared at the scanner. Displays a contained singularity meant an artificial black hole used as a power source. This was technology that even the most advanced Corvin scientists could only dream about. "That cannot be right," Wren whispered. "No species in this galaxy has that kind of technology. The power requirements alone would be beyond anything we can build." Vex finished her sentence. Mind was racing as he tried to understand what they were seeing. The scanning beams continued to probe deeper into the human ship. More impossible readings appeared on the displays. The weapon systems that had looked simple and outdated in the first scan were now showing completely different signatures. Admiral Kale reported, his voice barely audible, "The weapons ports that appeared empty are not empty. They contain some kind of energy-focusing devices that I cannot identify." Vex felt cold fear growing in his chest. "Can detect the main screen filled with a detailed diagram of the human ship's internal structure. Red markers indicated areas where the scanners detected unusual technology. There were dozens of them scattered throughout the vessel. These energy patterns here, Kale pointed to several areas near the ship's hull. It looked like some kind of space-time manipulation devices. But that would require technology that we do not even have theories about. Ren studied her engineering. Displays with growing alarm. Sir, the whole composition is not made from any known materials. It seems to be constructed from some kind of adaptive metal that changes its properties based on external conditions. Are you telling me, Vex said slowly, that this single human ship has technology that is more advanced than our entire fleet? A thought. Readings suggest that possibility, sir, Kale replied reluctantly. Vex looked around his bridge at the worried faces of his crew. These were experienced military officers who had served in dozens of battles against various alien species. He had never seen them look so concerned. Sir, Communications Officer Dex spoke up from his station. Should I contact the Fleet Command and report these findings? Vex thought carefully before answering. If he reported that a single human ship had technology superior to the entire Corvan military, he would probably be removed from command. His superiors would think he had lost his mind. Not yet, Vex decided. We need more information first. Continue the deep scan. I want to know everything about that ship before we take any action. The scanning process continued for another hour. With each passing minute, the readings became more disturbing. The human ship appeared to contain technology that violated basic scientific principles. Power sources that should be impossible. Weapons that used unknown forms of energy. Hull materials that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. Admiral Kale said finally, "The scan is complete. But I do not understand most of what we are seeing. This ship is built using scientific principles that we do not know about." Vex stared at the data displays showing the true nature of the human vessel. What they had initially dismissed as a primitive warship was actually a technological marvel that made their own. Advanced ship looked like a crude toy. Sir Ren said quietly, "If this is just one of their ships, what does that say about their entire military force?" That was exactly the question that Vex was afraid to answer. If the humans had more ships like this one, the Corvan fleet was in serious danger. Everything they thought they knew about this enemy was completely wrong. The human ship continued to float motionless in space, giving no sign that it was aware of being scanned. But now Vex understood that this appearance of helplessness was probably just another deception. The humans were not weak. They were something far more dangerous than the Corvan military had ever encountered before. Part 2. Hidden Depths. Admiral Vex ordered his crew to run even deeper scans on the human vessel. The first deep scan had revealed disturbing technology, but he needed to know more. Something told him they had only seen the surface of what the humans were hiding. Kale. Increase scanner power to maximum, Vex commanded. I want to see through every layer of that ship's hull. Scanner Officer Kale looked worried. Sir, maximum power scans might be detected by the human ship. They will know we are studying them closely. Do it anyway, Vex replied firmly. We need to understand what we are facing. The powerful scanning beams shot out toward the human ship. With 3 times more strength than before, the energy required to run these scans was enormous. It would drain their ship's power reserves quickly. But Vex did not care about that now, as the new data began flowing into their computers. Chief Engineer Ren gasped at what she saw on her displays. Admiral, you need to see this immediately. Vex hurried over to the engineering station. The screen showed a 3-dimensional image of the human ship's power core. What he saw made his blood freeze in his veins. That is not a normal reactor, Ren said, her voice shaking. The energy signature matches theoretical models of contained black holes, but the power output is impossible, according to our calculations. That single power source generates more energy than our entire fleet combined. Vex stared at the swirling energy patterns on the screen. The human ship's power core looked like a miniature star trapped inside a metal chamber. Energy levels that high should have torn the ship apart instantly. How are they containing that much power? Vex asked. I have no idea, Ren admitted. The containment system uses technology that we cannot identify. It appears to use controlled gravitational fields to keep the energy stable. Communications Officer Dex looked up from his station with fear in his yellow eyes. Sir, if that power core explodes, the energy release would destroy everything within 100,000 kilometers, including us, Vex said quietly. The maximum power scans continued to probe deeper into the human vessel. Each new layer revealed more impossible technology. The ship's computers appeared to use quantum processing systems that operated faster than light. The navigation equipment seemed to manipulate space and time itself to calculate jump coordinates. Admiral Kale reported, I am detecting weapon systems throughout the ship that make no sense. They do not use projectiles or energy beams like normal weapons. What do they use? Vex asked. The energy signatures suggest they manipulate reality itself. Some appear to create temporary black holes. Others seem to tear holes in space-time. There are weapons here that could destroy entire planets. Vex felt sick as he heard this report. Planet-destroying weapons were considered the ultimate military technology. Most civilizations spent centuries developing such weapons. The humans appeared to have multiple types of them on a single ship. Chief Engineer Wren was studying the hull composition readings with complete confusion. Sir, the metal they use for their ship's hull is not really metal at all. It appears to be some kind of programmable matter that changes its properties based on external threats. What does that mean? Vex demanded. It means their hull can adapt to resist any weapon we fire at it. If we shoot energy beams, the hull becomes reflective. If we fire projectiles, it becomes harder than diamond. The ship literally rebuilds itself to counter whatever attacks it faces. The scanning data continued to reveal more shocking discoveries. The human ship's crew quarters were designed for beings with incredible physical capabilities. The gravity systems could be adjusted to levels that would crush most alien species. The life support systems could create atmospheric conditions that would be toxic to nearly every known form of life. These humans, Dex said, while reading the biological data, they are not like the peaceful species we usually encounter. Their bodies appear to be adapted for extreme violence and survival in hostile environments. Scanner Officer Kale discovered something that made him call out in alarm. Admiral, there are additional power signatures throughout the ship that I missed. In the earlier scans, what kind of power signatures? Vex asked. They appear to be backup systems. But each backup system is as powerful as our main reactor. This ship has redundant power sources that could keep it running, even if the primary core was destroyed. Realized that the human vessel was not just advanced, it was designed to be nearly indestructible. Every system had multiple backups. Every weapon had alternatives. Every defense had secondary layers. The deep scans revealed that the human ship's engines did not work like normal propulsion systems. Instead of burning fuel or using ion drives, they appeared to fold space around the vessel. This allowed them to travel vast distances instantly, without actually moving through normal space. Their drive system, Wren explained while studying the engineering data, creates a bubble of altered spacetime around the ship. They do not travel through space, they make space come to them. This technology should be impossible according to our understanding of physics. The weapon systems revealed by the maximum power scans were even more disturbing than the initial readings had suggested. The humans had weapons that could fire through multiple dimensions, bypassing normal shields and armor completely. Weapons appeared to accelerate small particles to near light speed, creating impacts with the force of nuclear explosions. Sir Kale reported, I am detecting stealth systems throughout the ship that are currently inactive. If they activate these systems, our scanners would lose track of them completely. You mean they could disappear? Vex asked. Not just disappear. According to these readings, their stealth technology bends light and radiation around the ship. It would be like they never existed at all. Vex studied all the scanning data with growing horror. The human ship was not just more advanced than Corvin technology. It was centuries ahead of anything his civilization could build. The weapons alone could destroy his entire fleet. The defenses could resist any attack they could make. But what worried him most was that this appeared to be just one ship. If the humans had built an entire fleet using this technology, they could conquer the entire galaxy without any real opposition. Admiral Wren said quietly, "There is something else. The quantum signatures suggest this ship has been in space for less than 5 years." "What does that mean?" Vex asked. "It means this is not ancient technology that they discovered. They built this ship recently. Their technology is still advancing." The implications of this discovery hit Vex like a physical blow. Not only did the humans possess impossible technology, but they were still developing new capabilities. By the time the Corvan military could adapt to fight this ship, the humans would have built even more advanced vessels. The maximum power scans, finally completed after 2 hours of continuous operation. The data filled their computers with information about technology that seemed more like magic than science. Every system on the human ship operated using principles that violated known laws of physics. Vex looked around his bridge at his terrified crew. They had come here expecting to defeat a primitive species. Instead, they had discovered an enemy that possessed godlike technology and the power to reshape reality itself. Part 3. The response Captain Stone sat in his command chair aboard the human warship Perseverance. He had been watching the alien ship conduct scans for the past 4 hours. The scanning beams were getting stronger each time, which meant the aliens were becoming more curious about his vessel. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Park from the communications station, "the Corvan ship has been running maximum power scans for 2 hours now. They are definitely seeing through our basic stealth layers." Stone nodded calmly. "Good, it is about time they figured out we are not as helpless as we look." The bridge crew of the Perseverance worked quietly at their stations. Unlike the panicked aliens on the enemy ship, the humans seemed completely relaxed. They had been through situations like this many times before. "Captain," said Lieutenant Gray from the weapons station, "should I prepare our defensive systems? The alien ship has enough firepower to cause serious damage if they decide to attack." "Not yet," Stone replied. "Let them finish their scans first. I want them to understand exactly what they are dealing with before we have any conversations." Had served in the human military for 25 years. He had fought against dozens of different alien species during humanity's expansion into space. The pattern was always the same. Aliens would see human ships and assume they were primitive and weak. Then they would attack and discover their terrible mistake. The scanning beams from the Corvan ship were incredibly powerful. Stone's sensors showed that the aliens were using enough energy to drain their own power reserves quickly. They were getting desperate for information, Sir Park reported. "I am receiving biological readings from the alien bridge. Their stress levels are extremely high. Heart rates elevated, breathing rapid. They are very frightened by what they are seeing." "I bet they are," Stone said with a small smile. "Gray, show me their ship's weapon systems." Lieutenant Gray's fingers moved across his control panel. The main screen displayed a detailed image of the alien warship. Red markers indicated the locations of their guns, missile launchers, and energy weapons. "Impressive firepower for their technology level," Gray observed. "They have enough weapons to destroy several city-sized targets. Their shields could probably resist most conventional attacks. But not ours," Stone said simply. The human captain had read the intelligence reports about the Corvan species. They were typical military conquerors who used superior firepower to defeat weaker civilizations. They had probably never encountered an enemy with technology more advanced than their own. Captain Park said, "The alien ship is trying to establish a communication channel." "Put them through," Stone ordered. The main screen changed to show the bridge of the alien warship. A tall creature with green scales and yellow eyes appeared. This was obviously their commander. The alien looked nervous and afraid, which was very different from the confident aggression that human intelligence had reported about Corvan military leaders. "Human captain," the alien said, "I am Admiral Vex of the Corvan hegemony. Our scans have revealed concerning technology aboard your vessel. I wish to discuss the situation." Stone leaned back in his command chair and studied the alien commander. "Concerning technology? Admiral, 3 hours ago, your ship was demanding our immediate surrender. Now you want to talk. Your vessel," Vex said carefully, "appears to possess capabilities that could pose a threat to civilian populations. We seek to avoid unnecessary conflict. Stone's expression became serious. You mean you finally realized that we are not the easy target you thought we were? He looked at Lieutenant Gray. Show our guests what they missed in their earlier scans. Gray's hands moved across his weapons control panel. Disengaging stealth systems, sir. Revealing true ship configuration. Perseverance began to change. Appearance as its concealment technology shut down. What had looked like a simple warship with basic weapons now revealed its true nature. Advanced weapon ports opened along the hull. Energy signatures that had been hidden now blazed like small suns. The ship's real size became apparent as stealth fields collapsed. Admiral Vex and his crew watched in horror as the human vessel transformed before their eyes. The ship was 3 times larger than their scans had indicated. Weapon systems that could level entire continents were now visible. Energy readings that defied the laws of physics filled their sensors. This is impossible, Stone heard one of the alien officers whisper through the communication link. Admiral Stone said calmly, "Let me explain something about human military philosophy. We do not believe in fair fights. When we go to war, we bring overwhelming force and technology so advanced that our enemies cannot understand what they are facing until it is too late." The alien bridge crew was clearly terrified by what they were seeing. Several officers were backing away from their stations. Others were staring at their displays with expressions of complete disbelief. Your scans, Stone continued, were designed to detect conventional technology. Humans stopped using conventional weapons and defenses about 50 years ago. Everything you see now is considered outdated by our current military standards. Admiral Vex tried to maintain his composure, but Stone could see the fear in the alien's yellow eyes. What? The kind that can reshape reality, Stone replied matter-of-factly. Gravity manipulation devices that can create artificial black holes, quantum disruptors that can erase matter from existence, dimensional phasing weapons that can attack targets in parallel universes. The alien crew was now in complete panic. Stone could hear shouting and alarms going off on their bridge. Several officers appeared to be having nervous breakdowns as they realized the true nature of the human warship. But those are just our defensive systems, Stone added casually. The real weapons are much more interesting. Lieutenant Gray activated additional systems on the human ship. New energy signatures appeared that were so powerful they overloaded the alien scanning equipment. The Corvin ship's sensors started showing error messages as they tried to process readings that exceeded their maximum measurement capabilities. Sir Gray reported, "Their scanning systems are failing. The energy levels from our weapons are too high for their equipment to handle." Stone nodded. "Happens a lot. Most alien technology cannot even detect our advanced systems, let alone understand how they work." Admiral Vex was struggling to speak. How is this possible? No species should have technology this advanced," Admiral Stone said patiently. "Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We have turned warfare into an art form. We do not just build better weapons. We build weapons that make warfare itself obsolete for our enemies." The communication channel showed the alien bridge in complete chaos. Officers were running between stations trying to make sense of readings that violated everything they knew about science and technology. "The question now," Stone said, his voice becoming serious, "is whether you are going to leave this system peacefully, or whether we need to demonstrate why every other species in this galaxy has learned to avoid conflict with humanity." Vex looked around his bridge at his panicked crew. For the first time in his military career, he was facing an enemy that was completely beyond his ability to fight or understand. Part 4. The fleet revelation. Admiral Vex stared at the human warship in complete shock. The vessel had transformed from what looked like a simple patrol ship into a technological monster that defied all understanding. But his worst fears were about to become reality. "Captain Stone," Vex said through the communication link, his voice shaking, "you have shown us your ship's true capabilities. But surely you cannot expect to fight an entire Corvan fleet with just one vessel." Captain Stone smiled calmly from his command chair. "One vessel. Admiral, who said anything about one vessel?" Before Vex could ask what he meant, Lieutenant Gray spoke up from the weapons station. Sir, should I signal the rest of the fleet to do cloak? Yes, Stone replied. I think our guests need to see the full picture. Gray pressed several buttons on his control panel. All ships, this is Perseverance. Execute Revelation Protocol. Disengage all stealth systems on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The space around the human ship began to shimmer and distort. Admiral. Vex watched in growing horror as the empty void started to fill with massive shapes materializing from apparent nothingness. Impossible, whispered Scanner Officer Kale from his station. Our sensors showed nothing. The space was completely empty. One by one, human warships appeared throughout the star system. Each vessel was different in design, but all shared the same impossible energy signatures that had terrified the Corvin crew. Within minutes, 12 additional human ships had revealed themselves. 13 ships, Vex counted aloud, his voice barely audible. Actually, Stone's voice came through the speakers. That is just the first wave. Computer, show them the full deployment. The space around the Corvon flagship continued to ripple as more human vessels appeared. Battleships larger than space stations. Destroyers that bristled with weapon systems. Cruisers that radiated energy levels that should have been impossible to contain. 27 ships, Kale reported, his voice filled with terror. No, wait, 32. They keep appearing. Chief Engineer Wren was staring at her displays in complete disbelief. Sir, the combined energy output of those ships is greater than our entire home star.
Ow.
How are they generating that much power? The human fleet continued to materialize around them. Each new ship that appeared was more advanced than the last. Some vessels were so large they created their own gravitational fields. Others were so small they looked like fighters, but their energy readings suggested they carried planet-destroying. Weapons, 49 ships, Kale updated. No, 53. They are still appearing. Admiral Vex felt his legs becoming weak. The Corvin fleet that had seemed so powerful when they arrived in this system now looked like a collection of toys compared to the human armada surrounding them. Captain Stone, Vex said, trying to keep his voice steady, how many ships do you have in this system? Enough, Stone replied simply. Admiral, let me explain something about human military doctrine. We do not send equal forces to fight our enemies. We send overwhelming superiority. Humans go to war, we make sure the outcome is never in doubt. The final count reached 78 human warships.
Ow.
They were positioned throughout the star system in a formation that completely surrounded the Corvin fleet. Every escape route was blocked. Every strategic position was occupied. Sir, Communications Officer Dex reported, the human ships are scanning us. But their scanning technology is so advanced that our shields cannot block it. They are reading our ship's systems like an open book. Vex realized that the humans knew everything about his fleet's capabilities. They could see through their armor, detect their weapons, and probably predict their tactics. The Corvin forces had no secrets left. Admiral Stone continued, your fleet has impressive firepower for its technology level. But you are facing weapons that your science cannot explain and defenses that your attacks cannot penetrate. Lieutenant Gray's voice could be heard over the communication link as he reported to Captain Stone. Sir, analysis of the alien fleet is complete. Their most powerful weapons would have difficulty penetrating our lightest armor. Their shields could not withstand a single shot from our secondary batteries. Thank you, Gray, Stone replied. Admiral, Vex, did you hear that? Your entire fleet combined cannot match the firepower of one of our escort vessels. Vex looked around his bridge at his crew's terrified faces. Officers who had fought in dozens of battles were now cowering at their stations. The mighty Corvin military, which had conquered countless worlds, was completely helpless against human technology. How long have your ships been here? Vex asked weakly. We arrived in this system 6 months ago, Stone answered. We have been watching your species for quite some time. Your military movements, your invasion plans, your weaknesses. We know everything about your civilization. Scanner Officer Kale made a disturbing discovery. I am detecting additional human ships at the edge of the system. Yes, they appear to be even larger than the ones surrounding us. Those are our command vessels, Stone explained. They coordinate fleet operations across multiple star systems. Each one carries enough firepower to sterilize entire planets. Chief Engineer Wren was studying the energy patterns from the human fleet with growing amazement. Admiral, their smallest ships generate more power than our entire home world. Their largest vessels are producing energy levels that could ignite stars. The technology gap, Stone said, is not something that can be overcome with tactics or courage. Your species is fighting with stone knives while we carry weapons that can alter the fundamental forces of the universe. Vex felt all hope leaving his body. The Corvan hegemony had built its empire on military strength and technological superiority. They had always been the ones with better weapons and stronger ships. Now they were facing an enemy that made them look like primitive savages. Captain Stone, Vex said quietly, "What do you want from us?" "That is a very good question," Stone replied. "What we want depends on what you choose to do next. You have two options available to you." The human fleet maintained perfect formation around the Corvan ships. Despite their overwhelming superiority, they showed no signs of aggression. They were waiting for the aliens to make a decision. "Option 1, Stone explained. You can attempt to fight us. Your fleet will be completely destroyed within minutes. Your homeworld will be occupied. Your civilization will become a footnote in galactic history." Vex shuddered at the thought of his people facing these impossible weapons. "Option 2, Stone continued. You can choose to coexist peacefully with humanity. You can join the growing number of species that have discovered the benefits of human protection and guidance." Admiral Vex looked at the tactical display showing the positions of all the human ships. There were no gaps in their formation, no weaknesses to exploit, no hope of escape or victory. "How many other species have made this choice?" Vex asked. 47. "So far," Stone answered. "All of them are now more prosperous and secure than they ever were under their old military governments." Part 5. The choice Admiral Vex stood frozen on his bridge, surrounded by 78 human warships that could destroy his entire fleet in seconds. The weight of the decision he had to make felt heavier than a collapsed star. His military training told him never to surrender, but his survival instincts screamed that fighting would mean certain death. "Captain Stone," Vex said slowly, "the Corvan hegemony has never surrendered to any enemy. We have built our civilization on strength and military honor. To yield now would betray everything we believe in, would it?" Stone asked calmly. "Would it show wisdom and concern for your people's survival?" Vex looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. These were experienced warriors who had served with him for years. Scanner Officer Kale, who had discovered the truth about human technology. Chief Engineer Wren, who understood better than anyone how outmatched they were. Communications Officer Dex, who was monitoring the fear and panic spreading through the entire Corvan fleet. Sir Kale whispered, "Our fleet commanders are requesting orders. They want to know if we should prepare for battle." The thought of ordering his ships to attack the human fleet made Vex feel sick. It would not be a battle. It would be a massacre. Thousands of Corvan soldiers would die in minutes, and their deaths would accomplish nothing. "Captain Stone," Vex said, "you mentioned that 47 other species have chosen to coexist with humanity. What happened to the species that chose to fight? Would you like to see the records?" Stone asked. Lieutenant Gray's voice came through the communication link, displaying historical combat data now. The main screen on the Corvan bridge filled with battle footage from recent conflicts. Vex watched in horror as human fleets engaged alien armadas across the galaxy. The pattern was always the same. Alien ships would attack with everything they had, and human vessels would respond with weapons that seemed to break the laws of physics. "The Zentari Collective," Stone narrated, as the images showed a massive alien fleet being torn apart by invisible forces. 1,200 ships destroyed in 47 minutes. Their weapons could not even scratch our hull plating. The next recording showed a different battle. Morphic Alliance attempted to use hit-and-run tactics against our forces. We captured their entire invasion fleet intact, using gravitational manipulation weapons. Their ships are now part of our defensive network. More footage appeared showing various alien species learning the hard way that fighting humans was impossible. Ships being pulled apart by artificial black holes, entire fleets disappearing into dimensional rifts, weapons that turned enemy vessels into clouds of harmless particles. The Void Hunters were considered unstoppable before they met us, Stone continued. Their reputation for destroying entire civilizations made them feared throughout this region of space. Now they serve as peacekeepers. Under human supervision, Vex felt his resolve crumbling as he watched species after species being defeated by human technology. These were not weak civilizations. These were powerful military forces that had conquered vast territories, yet none of them could stand against human weapons. What about the species that chose peaceful coexistence? Vex asked. The screen changed to show thriving alien worlds under human protection, cities that had been rebuilt with advanced technology, trade networks that connected dozens of star systems, peaceful civilizations that no longer feared invasion or destruction. The Kellyan Republic chose diplomacy over warfare, Stone explained. Their economy has grown by 400% since joining the Human Alliance. Their people live longer, healthier lives. Their scientists work alongside human researchers to develop new technologies. More images showed similar success stories. Alien species that had given up their aggressive expansion and focused on improving their civilizations instead. Worlds that had been devastated by constant warfare now flourishing under human guidance. You offer protection, Vex said. But what do you expect in return? Very little, Stone replied. We ask that you stop attacking other species. We ask that you contribute to galactic peace and stability. We ask that you share your knowledge and culture with the greater community. Chief Engineer Wren stepped closer to Admiral Vex. Sir, if we fight them, our people will suffer the consequences. Our homeworld, our colonies, millions of Corvin citizens who have nothing to do with this conflict. Communications Officer Dex added his voice. Admiral, I am receiving reports from our other fleets throughout Corvin space. Human ships have appeared in every system we control. They're not attacking, but they are making their presence known. Vex realized that this conversation was not just about his fleet. Humans had simultaneously appeared throughout the entire Corvan hegemony. Every world, every military base, every strategic position was now under human observation. We have been planning this for months, Vex said. Years, Stone corrected. We do not act impulsively, Admiral. When humanity decides to change the balance of power in a region, we prepare thoroughly. Scanner Officer Kale made another disturbing discovery. Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting human fleets in neighboring star systems as well. They appear to be making similar offers to other military powers in this sector. Vex understood the full scope of what was happening. The humans were not just confronting the Corvin hegemony. They were reshaping the entire political structure of this region of space. Every aggressive civilization was being given the same choice at the same moment. How long do we have to decide? Vex asked. Take all the time you need, Stone replied. But understand that our patience is not unlimited. Other fleets are making their choices as we speak. Those who choose cooperation will receive our support and protection. Those who choose conflict will face the consequences. Admiral Vex walked to the front of his bridge and stared out at the human fleet surrounding his ships. Each vessel represented technology that his civilization could not match. Weapons that could destroy worlds. Defenses that could resist any attack. But more than that, they represented a fundamental change in how the galaxy would function. The age of military conquest was ending. The humans were replacing it with something new. A system where cooperation was rewarded and aggression was punished. Sir Wren said quietly, What are your orders? Vex thought about his duty to the Corvin military. He thought about his responsibility to his crew. Most importantly, he thought about his obligation to protect the Corvin people from unnecessary destruction. Open a channel to all ships in the fleet, Vex commanded. Dex worked at his station. Channel open, sir. Vex took a deep breath. All Corvin vessels, this is Admiral Vex. Stand down from combat readiness. Lower shields and power down weapon systems. He could hear surprised voices throughout the fleet as his orders were transmitted. Many officers were confused by the command to surrender without fighting. Captain Stone, Vex said, turning back to the communication screen, "The Corvin hegemony accepts your offer of peaceful coexistence. We choose cooperation over destruction." Stone nodded approvingly. "A wise decision, Admiral. Welcome to the new galactic order."